Hi, welcome back to the Abiding CEO podcast, where faith meets business. I'm Betsy Mejias, your host, a mental health trauma specialist, and a dedicated life coach. Today, I want to share with you a little bit about how much I love what I do, and I am just grateful and full of awe. And as I reflect on some of the things I've been sharing with you guys and the window of tolerance, and finding that optimal zone, right? Where you're not fight, flight, or freeze, where you are doing exactly what you're designed to do. And there's a peace and a flow that comes with it. And side note, a doctor whose last name I cannot pronounce, um, he discovered this idea of a flow state where time goes fast, where you're literally working and it does not feel like work. And earlier this week, that's how I was feeling after a session I had. I'm just celebrating with my clients' victories and their healings and their accomplishments, and that fuels me. And so I thought I'd share a little bit about my journey into abiding, into accepting how I'm wired. So here's a little story time. Maybe 6, 7 years ago, I remember in my prayer time asking God, so what parts of me are designed by you? And then what parts of me are my development, right? The whole nature, nurture. But being a trauma specialist and understanding how your past affects your present and affects your future, the internal dialogue that goes on and the fiery darts and accusations, it all gets kind of jumbled up and confusing. So time went on, continue my healing journey, my exploration, both spiritually, psychologically, and through relationships. Because in case you don't know, that's part of healing too, just this social community aspect. So the value, a good group. Oh my goodness, a good small group. I remember being in a Spanish speaking married forever, matrimonio para siempre. Shout out if any of you guys are listening. And just how transformative that was till this day. I still go back to some of the lessons learned there. And it brings so much peace. But I digress. I digress. The purpose of what I wanted to share today was just this idea of knowing yourself enough to know when you're abiding, when you're linked up with God and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And so much of that is using the gift, right? Using the gifts that He's giving you, the talents, the abilities, the strengths, right? To help others to spread, or even if the others is your church and your family. Not all of us need to be up on a pulpit, right? Some of us, we're great at being helpers. Some of us are more behind the scenes, and others, our ministry is out in the community. But going back to just enjoying the gift that He's given you, that comes with time. That comes with reflection, prayer, and something as simple as a psychological test. Now, I know some people are big fans of Enneagram, of DISC, of Myers Briggs. There's a bunch of them, and they're all great and they're fun, and they will identify your behaviors and put you into clusters. And they're great at explaining what you do and the category you go in. However, for me, in 2021, when I was at a retreat and I was given the color code assessment, that was a game changer. Now, let me qualify this. The color code assessment is not necessarily a Christian assessment. It's just a psychological tool, right? It's just a personality assessment that looks at your driving core motive. So now we're going behind the scenes. It's not just what you do, but why do you do what you do? The motive behind the behavior, the motive that drives your character, the motive that defines your values. What gets you up every day? Why you make decisions the way you do, when you do, how you do. So much of who we are is knit into us without us even knowing. And this was developed by Dr. Taylor Hartman. And after years of working with with patients. He wanted to get to the root sooner so that he can help them heal. Because when you're wired one way, but you're behaving another, that creates so much anxiety and inner turmoil. It's unnecessary. So that's where I say, like, here, this tool, this personality test, helped me understand and gain the revelation from God that He wired me like this, and that's okay. So, according to my results, right? I'm a leader, I'm a visionary, I make decisions quickly, I make order out of chaos. All these things I was told, but I've also been shamed for, because you got to also understand I'm Latina and I'm a Christian, I'm a wife, I'm a mom. None of that really screams leader, right? I am a role where I am expected to be quiet, meek, and submissive. And so I wrestled with God about that. Similarly, we all, if you're honest, have wrestled with God and questioned certain things like, why'd you make me this way? And over time, I've learned that all of these, the leadership, the visionary, the decisiveness, the ability to administrate, to organize, to motivate, were gifts. He wired me to lead, regardless of my cultural background, regardless of my gender, because He's a good God and He gives good gifts. So I wonder, do you know what your driving core motive is? If you don't, I really encourage you to take the test to at least find out what your primary color is. I'm going to put a link in the show notes for you. So go ahead and check that out. I also want to share that there's nothing wrong with you. Whatever is trauma-based can heal. And sometimes when we're broken and hurting, we distort our giftings. So, brief example, like I said, I'm decisive and I'm a leader. And that's great and that's a gift. As long as I'm in my jurisdiction, as long as I'm in my scope, I can't go to another business without their permission and tell them how to do things. Now, as a coach and as a therapist, sometimes I'm invited into these discussions, at which point I can come alongside and help you make order out of this chaos, out of this world, out of managing people, out of the long hours, out of the cash flow, out of the human resource issues. The list goes on with the day-to-day. When you're working and next thing you know, the day is done and you didn't reply to that email. It's okay. Because you know what? God says in Psalm 139, 13, 14, for you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. I'm going to repeat the last part. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, and I know that full well. And you guys go ahead and insert your name, right? For me, Betsy is fearfully and wonderfully made. And I really wish you the same. Just imagine the freedom to know, you know what? It's okay. I'm wired this way. And that's why I'm so passionate about the color code. It's the most accurate assessment I've done. And once I read the descriptions, it was like light bulb confirmation, and I'm okay. I'm not broken. This is just who I am. And people who are not like me don't understand that. And I say that for you as well, right? People who don't like you, who are not wired like you, who don't have the same calling, are not going to understand you. So find your tribe, find your group, and a good starting place. I'm going to encourage you. Take the test. Feel free, shoot me an email and let me know, what is your color? If you're a therapist, I have an extra opportunity for you and it's free. February 1st and 2nd, I will be speaking at the Purposeful and Profitable Therapist Summit. It is virtual, it is free. The first day is going to be dedicated towards clinical stuff. The second day is going to be dedicated towards business. Feel free to use the link below, sign up, and hopefully I'll see you in my breakout session. And remember, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise.